Hello, Panda. Are you gonna rank? Not really.
Adbotrix said Botrix has successfully joined the channel. Adbotrix said Botrix has successfully joined the channel. At Pandashheit said, are you gonna rank?
No, no, no. I need to buy a new controller.
Fundamental Chopboop said at Songitto, come to us. NECHNACOM version 7 IOB.
No thanks. One moment. I'm trying to figure out what kind of controller I wanna buy. I need one. Unfortunately, my controller is so bad that he doesn't work correctly, so I would rather not rank. Limited items? What do you mean limited items?
At Dina Finney said hi.
Why you said hi? That's interesting. What is this with this second shop?
At Mystery Plays -M7 I said hi, do you play or watch Minecraft?
Do you play or watch Minecraft? Not really. What is it today with this game? Why? Why you fucking... You play Tekken? Hart machen? The Tekken shop doesn't... Okay. No trash to buy.
At Pan-Height said are you sunburnt?
No, it's something else. I don't know what it is. Might look like
At Pan-Height said it looks a bit discolored.
I might look like, yeah, it's... I don't know why, I sometimes... And you see the problem, like 2 buttons are pressed at all times.
At Pan-Height said I had to get a new controller as well.
Yeah, I cannot play. I cannot play. Oh, fuck me. No matter what I do. This one. My only option. Boot.
This can fix stick drift on your PS5 controller. Reset your controller using a paperclip. Press and hold it into the small hole at the back of the controller. Then update your controller, and if this doesn't work, try removing some dust and dirt from the thumbstick area. This can fix stick drift on your PS5 controller.
Hey guys, good evening. So we're going to look at the R2 or L2, if you've got the issue with that, trigger problem with the new PS5 controller. So I've not done a YouTube video before, I've not done a full teardown of one of these before, but I am seeing lots of issues with the R2. So there's options you've got. You can return them to Sony and they will reimburse you the cost and obviously fix it or send you a new pad. I was lucky, I got my console through Amazon, so I approached Amazon and they gave me a 10% discount. So there's either a mixture of 10% discount or up to a £60 voucher by the sounds of things going around, which pays for a replacement pad without having to send the other one in. So effectively 2 pads for the price of one, and we can look at fixing the sloppy R2 trigger on this. It is the spring. They are known as the issue. You can get the springs on eBay. If we can see them there just above the white, they're really, really tiny and they're probably the weakest bit of the new PS5 controller. But they're about £3 for 4, if not probably £2 to £3 for more than that off eBay. So go ahead, get yourself some, and then fix your sloppy R2 because it's really, really simple. To repair the R2, what we're going to use are some really simple and normal household tools. So I've got 3 screwdrivers here. We're probably not going to use them. We've effectively got a normal Phillips small screwdriver and just a flat blade. The flat blade is going to be used primarily to prise the case open, and the Phillips is to do with the 4 screws that we've got holding the pad together. Now, these black sections at the bottom, you can see around the internet now they're cropping up for replacements. So probably plenty of you out there have already replaced these, but they're really, really simple. Lots of videos suggest going in at the bottom near where the charging port or headphone jack is. I would suggest going in at the corners here. They lift up really, really simply, and it just allows you access along the line of the pad to prise up and get underneath. So we'll get that bit off first. So just prising the edges up, getting the screwdriver in, just putting there, and then just twisting slightly, just pops the cover up, and you can get that off nicely. That then exposes the edges, and if you're just gentle with it, you can just lift that section up there. Either side, get your flat blade in here, and just pop the little triggers, the little plastic covers off, and they're really, really simple. Just kind of work your way in, and just make sure that it's popping up. Just be gentle, just take your time, and you won't break anything. I think a lot of people's worries with this is that they're going to be really hand-fisted, they're going to break something, and it's going to be an expensive thing. Honestly, these pads are so simple to take apart. You can see I've just popped that one off there. Once it's there, we can rotate it back to normal and just lift the part up. Be really careful that you don't prise it up too much, because these bits here obviously go under the white plastic and you could probably break them. But again, just be gentle. Put that to the side, and there we go. There's the first bit. It's looking like R2-D2 with his face off. Cool, so the next bit then, we've got 4 screws. These are just normal screws, hence the Phillips screwdriver that we grabbed earlier. So they're located, one here, one the opposite side, and then the other 2 are going to be underneath the R1 and L1 buttons. So just unscrew these, really simple. There's no knack to it, so just pop these out. Rotate the pad, just so you drop the screw onto your piece of paper or anything you're working on, rather than into the pad itself. Not that it's going to go anywhere, because there's nothing really there. So they're out, and then we need access to the other 2 at the top. So the other 2 at the top are located under the R1 and the L1. So get your flat blade screwdriver again, insert it in the top, and just pop the R1 out. Just work it into the corner is probably the best, and then just pop the R1. You can see it just prises up there, and then just pull it out. There we go, and just pops out. The other one hopefully will come out a lot easier. go. R1 and L1's removed. Now you can see in the tops of those, we'll get a Phillips screwdriver again, they're the other two screws that need removing. So again, just unscrew those. And then that's most of the heavy fixings out. Again, rotate the pad, drop the screw out, just keep them all together. If you don't want to get the screwdriver under the R1 or L1, then if you go into your cutlery drawer and get a butter knife, again, they're really good at just popping them out just because they're thin and flat, and they'll pop those out right away. There's no real clips, they just pop in, pop out. If I can show you there, they just grip on inside, and again, when they go back on later, they'll just pop back in. Cool, so that's the screws and most of the covers off. So now it's just a case of sliding that apart. Take your time, be gentle, just start at the bottom and work your way around. As long as you're not hand-fisted, you're not going to do any damage to the pad itself. You can see at the bottom already, the places I start with are these two little clips here, there and there. I'm looking through the camera trying to point at the same time, so my hand-to-eye coordination is terrible. So again, just get the flat bay driver behind them and just pop those off as such. You're going to need to pull it down as well as pop them off at the same time. So I'm just going to lower this down slightly just so I can get to this. So using your finger underneath there whilst popping that clip will help you out. Again, insert the driver under there and then just pull back on that. We'll just start to separate the bottom half of that pad. So in a case of looking to split the case at the top here, again, you're not going to do any damage, just slowly start to prise it apart and that'll release. And again, on the other side, just slowly start to prise it apart. And there we go, and it releases. And there we go. That is the back coming off the pad, and then just slowly lower it away. There's no connections on it. That should just fall away. And you're presented with the back of the PS5 controller. So this is the back of the PS5 pad. You can see we've got the L2 trigger and the R2 trigger, and you can see just how soft that is compared to the L2 trigger. If we can see down here, we can see the spring, the metal section just in here, and that sits around, I'm sorry about the zoom, I'm trying to zoom as best we can and focus. That kind of sits around a little plastic former to hold it in place. Now if we go to the R2, we can see that in here, it's gone completely. That's because the spring is fully broken and fallen apart into the pad somewhere. So once you take the back of your case off, you'll probably hear it rattling. Just give the pad a shake and you'll no doubt find that little bit drop out. The great thing about the R2 spring fix is it's on the outside of the pad, so it's easy to get to. The L2 is obviously trapped a bit more inside. Cool, so I've got zoomed in on the section we're going to put the new spring on. So the new spring is there in my fingers. Another useful tool, if you've got a set, would be a set of tweezers to drop this in. And the way I do this is just kind of lower it onto the plastic former and put one of the arms in place, and then use your screwdriver to manipulate the other arm into the other side of the former. It's really easy to see, but because I'm going to do this as basic as we can, I'm not going to use any tweezers. So excuse my big fat thumbs, I'm going to go in as best I can. I'm going to initially place the new spring in position. So the spring is now roughly in position. That's just sat around that former. I'm just going to coax it on. I'll just try and rotate this round a little bit. There is, underneath the trigger, there's a little seat where that arm sits into. It's really obvious to see. It's quite hard to get a zoom in and show you, but it's just a little formed piece of plastic which the arm will sit into. So put one of them in, obviously put the rest of the spring around this piece of plastic, and then look to coax the other arm into its other retainer, which is what we're going to do now with this one. So we're just going to take our screwdriver and just help it all the way around as best we can without pinging the spring off. I haven't done this before. And there we go. spring is now in its retainer, down here, around this plastic section, and in the seat under the trigger. And if you give the trigger a little brush before it was all sloppy, now that's got some good tension in it. So now we've done our trigger spring. Now it's just a case of repeat what we did before. So putting the pad back together. So start with white cover, lower that over the triggers. Just try and work her in at the top and then close her around. Obviously there's little gaps around the outside, so just start squeezing them together. They'll just click together all the way around. Work your way around the pad, clicking it together. They should all just ping nicely together, no big gaps. If you have had mucky hands on the pad, then they do tend to get a lot of grime and dirt down in these access routes. Just give them a clean out while you're here. Once we've done that, then it's a case of replacing the screws in the top where the L1 and R1 would go. So just take your Phillips screwdriver, and just relocate those back in there. And then the other one in the other side. That's those. Once they're done, then you can replace the R1 and the L1. Make sure you've got them the right way around. It does show on the top which way is up. Literally just lay them into the top. Once they're in the top, they just need a little bit of pressure, and then they click down, and then they work. Likewise on the L1, just lay him on the top. Once it's set.
What is going on, guys? I have this PlayStation 5 controller I just got, and from the description it said that one of these triggers are not working. So we're going to try to see if we could fix this. So first we're going to hook this up to the gamepad tester. Some of you guys will have one of these triggers not working. This is very crucial if you're playing FPS games, because these two triggers are usually for the aim and the shooting. So if one of these break, then your controller is not usable. But we might have a possibility to fix it, and I'm going to dive in here and see if I can do that. So I'll just make a little mark on the trigger. That's not working. And looking from the back of this controller, I believe this is a BDM030. So if you have your lettering like this, it's a BDM030. And if your lettering looks something like this, this is most likely a BDM040. And the difference we could tell is that on this one, the letterings are much longer. And there's also another variation like this. If your back of your controller is like this is most likely a BDM020. And the difference you could tell is right here at the end, you see it has this little logo, and here this has this trash. So that's just good to know when you're doing these repairs, to see what generation controller you have, because some of the mechanisms for the triggers and the layout of the motherboard can be different depending on the type of controller you have. So currently there is 5 different generations of controllers, BDM010, and it goes up to 050. And to open the controller, we're just
So you might be in this really weird situation where for some reason your PlayStation 5 controller is just basically clicking buttons by itself. Now, this can happen for a few different reasons. The number one reason why something like this ends up happening though is usually because your particular controller, you may just have some random stuff going on within it, or maybe you have some sticky keys. And sometimes what will happen is that those sticky keys will just randomly not work properly. And so what I would recommend doing is just taking a close look at which specific button is giving you problems. So if you see that the D-pad down button is giving you problems where it's just always randomly just clicking it by itself, what I would recommend doing here is going through grabbing a napkin of some sort or something along those lines. And what I'd recommend doing is just kind of cleaning out those buttons on that particular controller. So let's say it's like the D-pad down. Just go ahead and clean out that controller and do what you can do. And that can be one of the easiest ways to go ahead and essentially fix this problem. So from what I know, from what I can tell you, that is basically one of the easiest ways to fix this problem. Another thing you may want to do is just to reset and restart this controller.
That was useless.
One of the worst experiences you can have as a gamer is getting a stick drift. It's the kind of scenario when your PS5 keeps moving towards one direction without you really doing anything. You can go to hardwaretester.com/gamepad and connect your PS5 controller to your computer, and if you're seeing an offset like in this example, that tells you your controller has a stick drift. I'm gonna give you 4 working methods that you can try immediately and fix this annoying problem. So method 1 is going to be a super quick tip but worth the shot. You want to connect this controller to your PlayStation 5, and from the menu, you want to hit the update option. Additionally, you can even hit the reset option on your controller itself. So you see that there's a little hole beside the Sony logo. I want you to take a push pin and you want to hit through that hole while this is turned on, and hold it for about 5 seconds and it's gonna reset to its factory setting. That might just solve the issue for you. So method 2 is gonna be another short tip. You wanna
Man, they don't solve my problem. Why? Kurwa. Hijo. I give up. I don't think I can fix this. Okay, I give up.